How many of you have ideas that you want to implement one day? How many of you are looking for that perfect day, perfect funding, and perfect clean desk to start implementing your ideas? We all have ideas, and potentially very impactful ideas. But we don't implement them. Something stops us. As I grew up, I heard these fascinating stories from the Silicon Valley, people innovating, starting up, big organizations. And these are stories you hear now around the world. But there's a big difference. The big difference is now it's a rallying cry. You must innovate. Let's start up. Because there are no jobs. Youth is unemployed. There are huge social challenges: water, energy, education, healthcare. And that makes me wonder, when the potential of activating ideas could be so high now, why don't we do it? What can be possible if we come up with ideas, not for ideas' sake, but ideas, when put in motion, could change the world? And those are some questions I've been struggling with in my work. And as we implemented projects in various parts of the globe, we came across three simple principles that we believe could release innovation and put ideas in motion. And that's what I'm going to share with you today. The first one, simple. People don't do what they can't dream of doing first. What does it take to fire your imagination? What does it take to fire imagination of millions of young people out there? Unless you can feel the challenge, unless you can be in that environment, unless you can be with the people who are challenged and have that challenge, you're most unlikely to come up with ideas that are going to activate. Call it the power of immersive experiences. And we saw that as we did our programs here in the United States, specifically in the state of Arizona, a few engineers who were given the challenge which the rural population of America was facing. How do you get goods and services delivered to rural areas? Now, this was an American challenge. It could have been a challenge in Brazil or India or wherever, but yeah, this was right in their community. So these people landed up spending some time with these people who were having challenge, looked at what it looks like, what it feels like, and came across that these people don't use broadband. 1/3 of the Americans still don't. Some of them don't even use internet because they don't find it relevant. And these people came up with a simple idea. A web-based startup using the power of broadband, where people will log in from remote areas, do their online shopping, pay for it, the goods would be kept aside, and using the power of social media, it would go on the handphones of people who are traveling back into that village. And these people will look up, see who needs what, and have them delivered at a small delivery charge. Simple idea, but talks about immersive experience. Till you feel it, you don't get it. And these young people spent some time and got this going. Now relate this to all the big ideas that you know, all the big innovators that you know, all the big entrepreneurs that you know, and let's try to map this to how they do it. And as I had the opportunity to meet a number of them in my job, I figured out, of course, they are great innovators, great entrepreneurs, fantastic ideas, but they have something else. And that something else is there's a source. There's a strong purpose. There's a cause these people want to stand up for. They want to change something. They want to disrupt something. They want to challenge the status quo. And when that happens, a number of ideas come in. Some of these ideas become great innovation, and some of those innovations become great enterprises. It all happens, but the source is something else. The soul is a really purposeful idea. The why. Why should I do this? What do I want to stand up for? And this is what these students, engineering students in Arizona, demonstrated to us. Let's move on to the second principle. Again, quite simple. People rarely do what they don't see people like themselves doing. Now, let's relate this to business. Now, in the world of business, there are two worlds. It's not one world. There are businesses that people want to start. And there are businesses that people have to start. Have to because their survival depends on it. Now, there are enough role models in the want-to world, which, they're Facebook, Google, Intel, Microsoft, and the founders who've inspired all of us. And imagine if we could make role models in the have-to world. These people could relate to. We did our program in India, and this is the story from India, where one of the microbiologists who did a program, who wanted to start up his foundation, was always thinking about it, thinks about having this immersive experience, goes to the villages of India, see despair, see health issues, see education issues, see people have given up hope. But he comes across this one village that is a happy village. Now, a happy village because the women out there want to set up a village-level enterprise, a burger and a pizza shop. Because, of course, their children love it, but they can't afford it. They can't afford to go to the McDonald's or Pizza Hut and buy it. So they say, of course, let's set it up and also set it up for the rest of the children in the neighboring villages. And this microbiologist observed this and does a simple thing. He puts a community Skype station and connects this happy village with 2 other neighboring villages. And these women start having Skype calls, video conferencing. They get mentored by these happy village. They get related that people like them are doing it. And then, in a month's time, these neighboring villages also want to start something similar. Call it immersive experience leading to role models and creating of role models which inspire people at the bottom of the pyramid. Now, this does not apply just to the people at the bottom of the pyramid or people in rural areas. It applies to all of us as well, right? Now, look at the person next to you. Now, imagine if that person activates his idea and become a billionaire tomorrow. Believe me, you won't be sleeping that night. You will do something crazy. It'll move you, right? And that's what this talks about. Let's move on to the last principle. Of course, so simple. People are reluctant to take the first step until they overcome fear of failure. Now, all of us have ideas, but there's a fear of failure. Now, the fear is bigger than the actual failure. Failure is part of all our lives, right? It's part of lives of so many successful people as well. But the fear stops us from taking that first step that is so essential to do anything big or small in this world. We don't want to look bad in front of our community, friends. We don't want to share idea because my boss might not like it, or it might just get turned down. The fear is high. What will happen if you take the fear out? Now, we did this program and this little experiment in the Mideast. In Jordan, Tunisia, and more recently Egypt. There are very smart innovators out there, but the fear just stops them. So we said, OK, what are we going to do? So here are a bunch of students in Jordan. Great ideas, just waiting to be unlocked, but they don't do it. So we went there. We created a little partnership with the incubators university. Said, OK, let's create a safe haven for these people to go and execute their ideas. Gave them a little internship. Go, you're a high potential guy, high potential idea, great team, just go and execute it, and here's a little internship. If you do well, yeah, of course, we'll make you a rock star. They get recognized in their local media. And if you convert your product into business, we'll give you even a leap of faith funding, a small funding which could be made available to you. And of course, if you make it big there, we'll send you to Silicon Valley for an education experience and meet the people who made it all happen. Simple stuff. Make it lighter for these people. And in 4 months, flat 4 months, the first enterprise comes up. A simple e-commerce platform that connects rural musician, rural artists of Jordan to people in the city of Amman. They get to showcase their talent. The people in the city of Amman, they get to, hire them for some work, and magic happens, of course. Simple business. Take the fear out. So to conclude, these are the 3 principles that I talked about. Dream, have an immersive experience, role model, so that you could relate to people, and take the fear of failure out so that you could take the first step. Now, if imagine you can take these 3 principles and activate your idea. And now imagine that not just your idea, you can activate ideas and help and empower ideas of so many young youth and women out there who just don't have time to be in this room. They will never make it to these rooms or presentations because they're fighting it out on the road. They don't know how their evening meal is going to look like. And imagine if we can activate their ideas as well. That would be a world worth living into. And all of us can do that. We can activate our ideas and also empower others to activate their ideas so that we can live into a clear future. Now, that would be a future worth living into. So let's make that happen. Thank you.